There are moments when you begin to notice things that no one around you sees. Situations that seem ordinary to others but, to you, carry a deeper meaning. It's as if something within you starts to awaken, revealing that there is a reality beyond what natural eyes can see. This awakening is not random. It is one of the signs that God is beginning to expand your spiritual vision. When the Lord decides to reveal something, He doesn't use only what is visible. He speaks in the silence, in the details, in the feelings, in the subtle impressions that touch the soul before they reach the mind. And it's in this process that the chosen ones start to notice internal changes. A new sensitivity, a deeper understanding, a clarity that wasn't there before. God opens spiritual eyes gradually, preparing your heart to see what was once hidden. Spiritual vision is not a gift reserved for a few. It is a present given to those who have been shaped, set apart, and trained by God Himself. To see beyond the natural doesn't mean having special powers, but having intimacy with the Creator. When He expands your perception, you begin to discern situations, understand purposes, identify signs, and recognize His presence even on dark days. This is how God guides the chosen ones, by illuminating areas that were once in darkness. And before we move forward on this journey of understanding, I want to ask you something special. If this message touches your heart, follow this channel right now so you can keep receiving content that strengthens your faith, awakens your spiritual vision, and nurtures your walk. I am George, and it's an honor to walk by your side in this discovery. Let's walk together. Sign 1. An unexplainable desire to draw closer to God. When God begins to awaken the spiritual vision of a chosen one, the first change happens within the heart. An unexpected desire to draw nearer to Him arises, like an inner thirst that cannot be ignored. It's not a will created by the mind, nor a religious routine repeated out of habit. It's something that's born in the spirit. You feel the urge to pray, to listen to God, to open the Bible, and to seek a deeper meaning for your life. What once seemed uninteresting or tiresome suddenly becomes a source of peace. Prayer stops being an obligation and becomes an encounter. Reading the Bible stops being difficult and becomes nourishment. Even silence gains a new meaning, for you realize that God speaks even through quiet moments. Another powerful change is that many things that once filled you begin to lose their shine. Empty conversations stop making sense. Certain environments become draining. Activities that once satisfied you now seem shallow. This is not discouragement. It's spiritual alignment. God is shaping your heart for something greater. This growing desire is proof that He is opening your eyes. He draws you near, removing distractions so that you can hear His voice clearly. It's the first sign that a new spiritual level is beginning. Sign 2. Discernment that goes beyond logic. Another clear sign that God is opening your spiritual vision is the emergence of discernment. It's not guessing, and it's not ordinary intuition. It's spiritual perception. You begin to see things that haven't been said, to sense intentions that don't show on the surface, and to pick up on spiritual atmospheres that others ignore. When talking to someone, you notice when their words don't match their heart. Upon entering a place, you sense whether the atmosphere is light or heavy. When making decisions, you feel either a peace that confirms or a restlessness that warns you. This discernment is the Holy Spirit showing you paths, revealing dangers, and protecting you from wrong choices. This sensitivity also makes you an instrument of God to help others. You perceive when someone is sad, even while smiling. You sense when someone needs prayer. You recognize situations that seem normal but are spiritually misaligned. This doesn't produce judgment, but compassion. With time, discernment becomes part of your way of living. You begin to see beyond what the eyes can show. And this spiritual sight protects and guides you with precision. Sign 3. Sensitivity to invisible battles. When spiritual vision is activated, you begin to perceive wars that others cannot see. This sensitivity manifests in different ways. An odd fatigue when entering certain places, sudden unease around specific people, heavy dreams, internal pressure, or waking up in the middle of the night with your spirit alert. This doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're awake. The spirit senses movements that don't appear in the physical world. Sometimes it's a battle happening around you. Other times it's a spiritual attack trying to wear you down. And often, it's God calling you to pray and intercede. This sensitivity is not a burden. It's protection. God allows you to perceive what's happening, so you're not caught off guard. He alerts you, awakens you, and strengthens your faith. You learn to turn discomfort into prayer, fear into trust, and spiritual pressure into authority. With time, you realize that this sensitivity is part of the identity of the chosen ones. They see battles others ignore, but also carry the strength to overcome them. Sign 4. Seeing purpose, where others only see pain. When God opens the spiritual vision of a chosen one of the deepest changes occurs in how they perceive difficulties. While most people interpret problems as punishment, bad luck, or life's unfairness, the chosen one begins to perceive that every situation carries something greater, something beyond immediate pain. They come to understand that God works behind the scenes, using even moments of suffering as tools for building character and faith. This sign appears when, even amid tears, a person feels they are being shaped. They realize that certain losses made room for new beginnings, that closed doors protected them from dangerous paths, and that painful separations prevented greater falls. None of this means the suffering disappears. It means the perspective changes. What once caused despair now brings reflection and spiritual maturity. Spiritual vision makes you ask less, "Why did this happen?" and more, "What is this happening for?" This shift in perspective marks a major step in the awakening of the chosen one. They begin to see hidden lessons, inner strengthening, emotional healing, and divine direction emerging from situations that once seemed negative. This sign also builds resilience. The chosen one becomes able to walk forward even without understanding all the details. They discover that their life is guided by a greater purpose, and that nothing is beyond God's control. Each battle becomes a step, each challenge becomes training, each pain becomes refinement. In practice, this means the chosen one does not crumble under adversity. They may grieve, but don't lose direction. They cry, but don't lose faith. They face storms, but keep their heart steady. Because they know that God wastes no experience. Everything has meaning. Everything has purpose. Everything strengthens their spiritual vision. Sign 5. Peace that surpasses logic. Another powerful sign that God is opening your spiritual vision is the presence of a peace that doesn't match what's happening around you. In circumstances where anyone else would panic, the chosen one feels calm. It's not indifference, not emotional escape, not denial of reality. It's trust. This peace is born from an inner certainty that God is in control, even when nothing looks favorable. The heart understands something the mind does not yet comprehend. It's as if a quiet voice whispers, "I am here. Do not fear." And that voice soothes the soul in a way no reasoning ever could. Spiritual peace isn't based on comfortable circumstances. It appears precisely when everything seems to be falling apart. In hospitals, financial crises, painful farewells, and uncertainties about the future. It's a peace that fills the heart from the inside out, even when the outside world is filled with tension. This peace also helps in decision-making. It functions as a divine sign. When something comes from God, the heart remains tranquil. When something isn't part of His purpose, the soul feels restless. That's why this peace becomes a spiritual compass. It guides, protects, and prevents hasty choices. Beyond that, this peace becomes a testimony. People around you can't understand how you remain steadfast while everyone else is losing control. This difference awakens curiosity, respect, and even faith in many. The peace that surpasses all understanding is like a light shining in the darkness. It cannot be ignored. And the more your spiritual eyes open, the more constant this peace becomes. It doesn't depend on earthly stability, but on God's presence within you. This is one of the deepest marks of spiritual awakening. The heart learns to rest even when life tries to shake your balance. Sign 6. Dreams and visions that carry purpose. When spiritual vision begins to awaken, God starts to speak in ways that once seemed like mere coincidence. Dreams become more vivid. Sudden visions appear in moments of prayer, reflection, or silence. Specific thoughts arise out of nowhere, bringing guidance, warnings, or answers. This is not imagination. It is spiritual communication. These dreams are different from ordinary ones. They carry clear, symbolic, or repetitive messages. Often you wake up with a strong feeling, as if you had received an instruction or a warning. At other times, God reveals something about someone, about the future, or about important decisions you need to make. It's as if an inner door has been opened. Visions also manifest in various ways. Sometimes it's a quick image during prayer. Other times, it's an impression so strong that it seems like it was seen with the physical eyes. It may be a person, a word, a scene, a symbolic image, or even a feeling that materializes in your mind. This is a form of spiritual revelation that the chosen ones begin to recognize clearly. This sign does not appear to exalt anyone. It exists to guide and protect. God uses dreams and visions to prevent mistakes, confirm paths, strengthen the heart, and reveal truths that would otherwise be ignored in the natural. He speaks because you are ready to listen. He shows because He trusts you to act according to His purpose. It's important that the chosen learn to discern which dreams are spiritual and which are simply reflections of the mind. But when vision is truly being opened, the Holy Spirit confirms what comes from God. He brings peace, understanding, and inner certainty. Over time, the chosen one learns to value these revelations. They recognize that God never stopped speaking. He was simply waiting for the right moment to be heard, and when the spiritual eyes open, He speaks with greater intensity, clarity, and purpose. Sign 7. Courage before giants that once frightened you. When God opens the spiritual vision of a chosen one, something extraordinary happens within them. Courage begins to bloom in situations where there once was only fear. It's not that danger disappears, or that battles become smaller. The change happens in perspective. The chosen one begins to see the size of God instead of the size of the problem. This courage is not the product of exaggerated self-confidence. It is born from the spiritual certainty that God is present in every step, even in the hardest battles. That's why challenges that once caused anxiety now become opportunities to trust. Enemies that once seemed invincible are now seen as circumstances that God allows only to reveal His strength. This courage manifests in daily decisions. The chosen one stops running from situations that once intimidated them and learns to face them with faith. They face hard conversations, overcome old fears, enter environments they used to avoid, and take bold actions to fulfill God's purpose, not because they are strong, but because they know they are not alone. Another sign of this courage is the change in how the chosen respond to invisible threats. Spiritual attacks that once took them down now end in prayer. Criticism that once hurt now fuels persistence. What used to be an obstacle now becomes a stepping stone. This does not mean the chosen no longer feel fear. Their heart may even tremble, but their faith stands firm. Spiritual courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward despite it. Spiritual vision shows that God is already at the end of the path, waiting for the result of faith. With this new courage, the chosen one begins to inspire others. Their firmness, consistency, and calmness in the midst of chaos become a living testimony of God's presence. They become a reference of faith, even without realizing it. This is one of the most beautiful signs of spiritual vision. When God opens your eyes, you stop being dominated by the giants and begin to walk with the giant who leads you. Sign 8. Obedience, even without understanding the details. Another striking sign of spiritual vision is the ability to obey God even when the plan is not yet fully clear. The chosen one learns to trust the voice of God, not circumstances. They follow instructions that may seem too simple for human logic, but make perfect sense in the spiritual realm. When God opens someone's eyes, that person stops depending only on their understanding. They realize that the Father sees the whole picture, while they can only see a part. That understanding brings spiritual humility and produces obedience. God says, "Go forward," and the chosen one goes. God says, "Wait," and the chosen one learns to wait. This obedience is neither naive nor blind. It is based on trust in God's character. The chosen know that the Lord never leads toward evil, never guides into error, and never abandons midway. That's why even without understanding everything, they surrender. This sign appears in practical actions. Sometimes God asks you to end a cycle, and even though it hurts, the chosen one obeys. Other times, God asks you to forgive someone who caused deep wounds, and though it's an inner struggle, they choose to obey. In other moments, God asks you to start something from scratch, change direction, let go of something comfortable, or take on something bigger than it seems possible. Each act of obedience opens spiritual doors. It's as if God says, "Now you can receive more." The more the chosen obey, the more their vision expands. They begin to realize that obedience doesn't take away freedom. It reveals purpose. This obedience is also a sign of spiritual maturity. Spiritual children require explanations. Mature sons trust the Father. Spiritual vision shows the chosen that the path may be unknown to them, but it's never unknown to God. In the end, the chosen perceive that every step of obedience brought them closer to what the Lord had prepared for their life. Nothing was in vain. Nothing was wasted. Everything led to divine purpose. Sign 9. Complete transformation of mind and purpose. The final and one of the deepest signs is the transformation of the mind. When God opens the spiritual vision of a chosen one, they stop seeing life through the same old logic. Their way of thinking changes. Their way of acting changes. Their way of interpreting situations changes. It's as if a new internal system is activated. The mind that was once guided by emotion now becomes guided by discernment. The heart that once leaned on circumstances now leans on faith. The eyes that once saw only what was visible now perceive meanings, spiritual movements, and divine purposes that were hidden. This transformation changes priorities. The chosen one begins to value what truly matters and loses interest in what doesn't feed the soul. Superficial things lose power. The desire for God grows. The purpose becomes clearer, and the calling becomes stronger. Their spiritual identity also strengthens. The chosen stop seeing themselves as ordinary and begin to recognize the mark of God upon their life. They understand that they have been set apart, prepared, and equipped for something greater. This awareness changes their posture in the world. They stop competing and start serving, stop seeking recognition and start fulfilling their mission. This transformation also reflects in relationships. The chosen one becomes more compassionate, patient, humble, and firm in faith. They begin to see people with spiritual eyes, understanding their pain and respecting their process. Their presence becomes light, their words become healing, and their life becomes testimony. In the end, the chosen one realizes that it wasn't just their vision that changed. It was their entire soul. They no longer walk like someone who doesn't know who they are. They walk like someone who knows the God who called them. Sign 10. Natural separation from people and environments that don't match your light. When God opens the spiritual vision of a chosen one, something begins to happen silently yet clearly. People drift away, cycles end, and places that were once familiar become uncomfortable. This separation is not rejection, it's protection. God will not allow someone with expanded vision to remain surrounded by influences that could dim or distort the light He is igniting within you. The chosen one begins to feel a natural unease in places where they once felt comfortable. Certain groups feel empty, conversations that once distracted now exhaust, and habits that filled the mind now feel heavy. It's as though the spirit rejects everything that delays, confuses, or contaminates spiritual sensitivity. This change doesn't come from ego, but from alignment with God's purpose. Sometimes separation happens without explanation. People disappear, connections fade, invitations stop coming. Instead of trying to understand it with human logic, the chosen begin to recognize that these disconnections are spiritually ordered. Spiritual vision reveals that not everyone is ready to walk alongside someone who is awakening. This sign also shows up as emotional protection. The chosen one quickly perceives who carries good intentions and who approaches with interest, envy, or spiritual weight. Discernment becomes sharper, and the heart itself refuses shallow connections. God removes before you get hurt. He separates before they hinder you. He closes doors before they trap you in paths that no longer belong to your destiny. Furthermore, this separation makes room for new people, those who share faith, truth, growth, and depth. People who build instead of drain, who uplift instead of pull down. When God removes, He replaces. When He closes, He redirects. Spiritual vision allows you to see this movement with peace, without resistance. This sign can bring an initial feeling of loneliness, but it quickly transforms into clarity. The chosen recognize that separation is not loss. It is refinement. It's God removing what cannot sustain your future. It's Him making space for divine connections. Over time, the chosen understand. Those who need to stay, God keeps. Those who must leave, God removes. And those who come later arrive aligned with purpose. Sign 11. Heightened spiritual sensitivity and perception of invisible frequencies. The final sign is perhaps the strongest and most defining, the heightening of spiritual sensitivity. The chosen begin to perceive things most people don't notice, shifts in the atmosphere, changes in the energy of a space, spiritual presences, hidden intentions, different vibrations. This perception doesn't come from the mind, it comes from the spirit. This sensitivity can manifest in various ways. Sometimes you enter a place and immediately feel an invisible heaviness, as if something is spiritually misaligned. Other times you feel such deep peace, in spaces where God's Spirit is welcome, that it's as if the air itself is lighter. You may also feel chills, pressure on your mind, spiritual warmth, sudden shivers, or even interference in electronic devices when the spiritual atmosphere is intense. This sign reveals that your inner senses are being activated. You're not just observing the physical world. You're perceiving the spiritual dimensions that coexist with it. This ability increases when you pray, fast, meditate on the Word, or remain silent before God. It's as if your soul becomes more attuned to heaven. Reaching this point means that you already recognize that something different is happening within you. When God decides to open your spiritual vision, He does not begin with what is outside. He first transforms what is inside. Every sign you have experienced, every perception, every change, every separation, every silent awakening has been part of a divine process to prepare you, strengthen you, and align you with the purpose He has written for your life. None of this is coincidence. None of this is imagination. The chosen go through a unique, deep, and often solitary awakening, but one that is completely necessary. When your spiritual eyes open, you begin to see life with more clarity, more sensitivity, and more maturity. What once seemed confusing now makes sense. What once hurt you now strengthens you. What once paralyzed you now propels you forward. Keep this truth in your heart. Spiritual vision is not an end. It is a beginning. It is the start of a walk that is more conscious, lighter, and more intimate with God. And He only opens the eyes of those who are ready to see. Before we finish, I want to ask something special. Comment below which sign spoke most to your heart. Your experience may strengthen someone else. Let's walk together.